We've been hearing a lot about the federal government's economic stimulus package, and the president signed it into law this week, which means it is a done deal. So everybody wants to know, when will I get my money? Mara Christian is here with the IRS to answer some of the basic questions about this. So when is everybody going to get their money? That's what everybody wants to know.
We're targeting early May, and that's as close as we can get it at this time. There's lots of programming and notices that have to be issued and work out the details, and we're working on those as we speak.
Okay, so they should probably go out in May.
Beginning in May,
okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about how much. Obviously, it's going to be different for every family, but let's talk about some of the standard numbers and how much people should expect.
$300 to $600 per person, per individual household adult in the household. So if you are a single filer, you could get up to $600, no less than $300. And if you're married, that could be up to $1,200.
Okay, and also if you have children, you get additional.
$300 per qualifying child.
Okay, and talk about qualifying child.
They have to be under the age of 17. They must have a Social Security number and be claimed as a dependent on your return.
Okay, let's also talk about some people. There is a limit at the top and at the bottom as to who will get this. What's the bottom?
Okay. You have to have up to $3,000 of qualified income, which can be wages, but it can also be other types of income that are not normally taxable, like disability benefits and Social Security.
Okay, and the upper level is $150, right?
$150 for a married couple. If you earn over $150,000, your check may be reduced a little bit by a percentage of how much your income exceeds that cap, that threshold.
And I was reading, basically for every $1,000 you're over that, subtract $50
right,
more
it
or
goes
less?
down in $50 increments.
Okay. Do you have to file an income tax return in order to get this money?
Yes, you must have filed a 2007 income tax return before those checks are going to be issued. And if you have not filed a return because you're not required to file, you should still file one to make sure that if you are eligible for one of these payments that you will receive it.
Okay, there's a lot of people who are going to ask for extensions. That would obviously mean that this rebate is going to be delayed, I would assume.
Yeah, they won't get, they can still get the credit, they'll still get the check, but they won't get it until after their return has been processed. So if they file an extension, and there's also a cutoff as to when we can issue these checks. So even if they're filing an extension, they need to make sure that they get their tax return filed so it'll be processed before the end of the year.
Okay. If you owe money when you've done your income taxes and you owe money, will that come out of this rebate?
Yes, if there is a balance due on your tax return, that credit will offset to that liability first.
Okay, what about other things? You had mentioned that if you owe child support, other situations, the government will take
If you've already been notified that your income tax refund can be offset for other debts, which can include defaulted student loans, child support, state income tax liabilities, federal income tax liabilities, and debts to other federal agencies, then these credits will also be applied to that debt first.
Okay, and then the other question a lot of people are asking is this going to be considered income next year? Am I going to have to pay taxes on it next year?
There will be a line item where you're supposed to report that on your return, but it does not affect your tax liability.
Okay, is there anything else important that people really need to know about this?
Well, it's important to have a current address on file. We will be able to issue those returns those refunds direct deposit electronically if you had that on your original return. But if you are getting a paper check, you need to make sure that you have a current address on file with the IRS, or that you put a forwarding order on with the post office if you move after your return's been filed.
And I'd imagine all this information is on the IRS website.
Yes, and it will be updating that website with more information as we get the details worked out. And we will also be issuing notices to taxpayers to let them know when they can expect their check, and we'll also give them the amount of what they're going to be receiving.
Okay, thanks, Mara. Back to you.